The Oscars have been announced, and the internet has been in an uproar because when you take a look at Best Actress, Margot Robbie is not nominated. And you take a look at Best Director, and Greta Gerwig is not nominated. And Barbie was a wildly successful film. I think it is the most successful film ever directed by a woman. Made well over $1 billion at the box office. And people were very, very upset that for a movie that is talking about feminism and talking about women's empowerment, that even though Barbie got nominated for a lot of awards, the awards going specifically to the female lead and the female director, they got snubbed. And I really don't think any tweet encapsulates the caliber of post about this snub than the rightful 45th president of the United States herself, Hillary Clinton. Greta and Margot, while it can sting to win the box office but not take home the gold, your millions of fans love you. You're both so much more than enough. Hashtag Hillary Barbie. And it is for this reason, and this reason alone, that I am going to say I am glad that Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie didn't get nominated, because we have to teach Hillary Clinton a lesson that she needs to stop giving us her opinions. I am being a little facetious here, but no, Hillary, shut up. Go away. Nobody asked you. Let's go. Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at who didn't get nominated for actress in a leading role. I did a segment going over it all again, but just going to focus on here. So we've got Annette Bening for Nyad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. It's not like Margot Robbie was in no competition. These are all heavy hitters. And I haven't seen Nyad or Maestro yet, so I can't speak too much to Carey Mulligan and Annette Bening in particular, other than I have seen them in a lot of things and they are solid actors. But I have seen Killers of the Flower Moon, Anatomy of a Fall, and Poor Things, and I will say that all of these performances are stronger than Margot Robbie's. And I will also say that the people who are complaining haven't seen a single film on this list, except that, well, maybe somebody did. We have an article, an op-ed in the LA Times. It says, shocking Oscar snubs for Barbie's Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie just prove the movie's point. Written by Mary McNamara, culture columnist and critic. I haven't read this whole article. I'm not gonna read the whole article. I want to point out how it starts. If only Barbie had done a little time as a sex worker, or barely survived becoming the next victim in a mass murder plot, or stood accused of shoving Ken out of the dream house's top window. Certainly millions of Barbie fans are currently wishing they could push someone, perhaps a member or two of the Film Academy, out of a very high window. How on earth does the list of 2024 Oscar nominations not include Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, who respectively directed and starred in a film that defied all critical expectations and made movie-going fun again? Right now, I'm going to say that I think Greta Gerwig did get snubbed. But that's not how you opened your article. You didn't open it complaining about the films directed by men in particular. Now, this is Poor Things. This is Killers of the Flower Moon. Both of those were directed by men. Yorgos Lanthimos directed Poor Things, and Martin Scorsese directed Killers of the Flower Moon. But stood accused of shoving Ken out of the window of the Barbie's dream house. This is talking about Anatomy of a Fall, which was directed by Justine Triet, who right now is the only woman nominated for Best Director. So that one seems weird to throw in there if your complaint is, wow, if only the director had done these things. Because this is a movie, Anatomy of a Fall is a movie written by a woman, directed by a woman, starring a woman. But I don't think she picked them for the Best Director stuff, specifically because she included Anatomy of a Fall. No, I think what she's actually doing is tearing down the performances of the other Best Actress nominations, because she's talking specifically about what the main characters in each of those other films did. So she's comparing Barbie's performance, the character of Barbie, and Margot Robbie's performance to Emma Stone in Poor Things, to Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, and 2, Sandra Huller in Anatomy of a Fall. So in this op-ed where she is complaining about a woman getting snubbed for recognition, what does she do? She tears down the performances of other women. And let's talk about that first one. If only Barbie had done a little time as a sex worker. So it's actually quite a large part of like the late second act in Poor Things that Emma Stone's character becomes a sex worker. And it is portrayed in a very stark way. It's played for laughs the way that she gets into sex work, mostly because she, as somebody who is coming into the world fully formed as an adult, but not fully having grasped all of the nuances of society yet, she goes into it with no preconception that sex work is even something that carries a stigma to it. She just really likes sex, and she's like, wait, I really like sex, and I can get paid for it? Yeah, absolutely, sign me up. And through the process of going into sex work, she begins to recognize the exploitation built into that industry. And she begins to see ways that sex work could be improved. She like literally independently comes up with the concept of enthusiastic consent. And if you want to talk about a movie about a doll who has a feminist awakening to become a woman, that isn't some pop feminism, PG-13 mass market appeal thing, but is like an actual, like, solid piece of feminist critique, look at Poor Things. Poor Things is a fantastic film. And for this woman to go and take Poor Things and boil it down to, oh, if only Barbie had been a sex worker. First off, I don't think you're a feminist. If you are a feminist, you're like a swerve. Sex work is work. Sex work is fine. Sex work can be good, actually. It's very important to acknowledge the toxic patriarchal attitudes toward sex work and to acknowledge the ways that sex work can be used to control and demean women. But that doesn't mean that sex work itself is inherently bad. Sex work is inherently work. So I don't think we should be doing that. Then here we've got barely survived becoming the next victim in a mass murder plot. That's to boil down the story of Killers of the Flower Moon. Like this plot synopsis, that just sounds like that sounds like she's boiling it down to you played the final girl in a horror franchise. It's so disrespectful, and honestly, considering that it's a historical tale about a real series of murders, mainly of Native women, when that is still a thing that's happening today and not enough people are talking about, like, this just feels racist. Maybe not intentionally so, but you're downplaying a very serious thing that Killers of the Flower Moon is rightly bringing renewed attention to. And then stood accused of shoving Ken out of the dream house's top window. It's kind of a funny little parallel there, but I will point out that Anatomy of a Fall is also a female-led, female-directed film. But you didn't go to see it. You saw Barbie. Like, I get it, for a lot of people, they saw Barbie. Most people saw Barbie. It was a very popular movie. But it's a very pop feminist movie. And I think there's more to making a feminist film than having a character explicitly state the thesis of the film in a speech. And yeah, I think Poor Things did a better job at everything that Barbie was trying to say. And as a plus, Poor Things wasn't a multi-million-dollar toy commercial. Remember, at the end of the day, Barbie was made by Warner Brothers, a billion-dollar media company, and based on a Mattel property. Mattel is one of the largest toy companies in the world. So, as fun a movie as Barbie is, as good messages as it carries, liberal and pop feministy as they are, I think Poor Things is a better movie, like in every regard. And I don't think you should be denouncing it like that. This whole thing, this opening thing just reeks as tearing down other women. I don't like that. So Margot Robbie right now is the most powerful actress in Hollywood. She could make anything she wants to. She has her choice of any project, probably for the next decade. Star status can wane, it happens, but right now, she can make anything. If she reads a script and says, I want to make this movie, that movie gets made. So Margot Robbie's going to have multiple opportunities, again, to get up here and to get on this list. But not everyone else is. So I don't care that Margot Robbie got snubbed. She'll be fine. Trust me, she's crying into her bank account statements. But right now, the nominees for Best Director, we have 4 men and Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. And that's actually kind of an interesting microcosm of the general statistics of representation for women in directing in Hollywood. Right over here, I have a distribution of movie directors in the United States from 2011 to 2022 by gender. As you can see, here, let's see if I can get this bigger. Seems like the blue is men, the black up top is women. So you can tell that even though in the last couple years we've seen more women showing up, this is massively, disproportionately overrepresented by men. This is one of the last areas in Hollywood where it's still very much a man's industry, and it's very hard for women to get in. We're seeing some growth because, as you can tell, in 2011, 4.1% female. In 2021, 21.8% female. That's a big jump. It dropped in 2022 to 14%. Year-to-year fluctuations can happen, but we're still nowhere near close to where we need to be here. Like, this should be a 50-50 split. And so I will say that the Oscars are not just about picking who did the best job at the best film this year. As much as I would like things in a vacuum to be purely on the work that you see on the screen and the work that went in behind the scenes to get what you see on screen, as much as I would like the awards to just be about that, Oscars are political, and consideration does need to be made for things like the lack of women's representation in directing. So Greta Gerwig, yeah, she got snubbed. She's been nominated for Best Director before, for Lady Bird. She didn't win. I haven't seen Lady Bird, but by all accounts, Lady Bird was a better film that she directed than Barbie. Barbie had more mass market appeal, and I haven't seen it, so grain of salt. I can't really be giving my opinion on that. I just heard that Lady Bird was better, that Barbie wasn't Greta Gerwig's best work as a director, even though it was good. But yeah, I think she probably should have been nominated. Because right now, what female directors have won Best Director? Now, there are female directors who will win, for some of the other stuff, like Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who is the director for the next Star Wars movie starring Rey. She has 2 Academy Awards for documentaries, but nothing for fiction. So it's very hard. It is very hard for women to get in as directors. And winning these awards, the Oscars, as much as, people are starting to sour on the Oscars just in general, I know a lot of people are like, oh, they don't matter. Ultimately, sure, they don't really matter. It's an industry award. It's generally how liked you are by the industry, but the visibility still does matter. Giving awards to women matters. And for a long time, it's been a woman-led movie can't do well at the box office, and Barbie made over $1 billion. Women directors can't make blockbusters. Greta Gerwig made $1 billion. So I can understand from that perspective that Greta Gerwig definitely should have been nominated. Who would I bump to make that happen out of this list? Well, I haven't seen The Zone of Interest, so that seems like an easy one for me. But out of the ones that I've seen here, I'd probably bump either Nolan or Scorsese. But I ask all of you to consider that Barbie has had a whole bunch of accolades. And chiefest among those accolades is that it made over $1 billion at the box office. Now, that doesn't happen unless it comes from a company that can afford to pay hundreds of millions to market it. But it also doesn't happen unless people were actually enjoying it. So I can understand where people are coming from. Margot Robbie, great actress, very charming. I've enjoyed her in most of the things that I've seen, but she's going to get another shot at this. And you should probably give a watch to the movies that were nominated for this, because like if you haven't seen Poor Things, like you really shouldn't even be opining here, because Emma Stone in every way, directly in comparison to what Barbie is about, gives a better performance. So feminism is not over. We'll get more chances for Margot Robbie, but Greta Gerwig probably deserved the nom. Hey, thanks for watching. Your view means a lot. Don't forget to toss me a like and subscribe and ring the bell. And drop a comment below telling me what you thought of the video. I stream Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific and Sundays at 2, so catch me live and join in on the convo. You can find all my socials in the description below, and thank you to all my patrons with a very special shout out to my Whaled Shark tier patron Ryan D and my Anemone friend tier patron Piftle Cakes. Your support means the world. Catch you next time.